Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you to I Told My Wife I'm Paying Bills. This is a new podcast with your host, Slim and Black. I'm Slim.
I'm black.
All right. And we just wanted to welcome you to our first episode. So, just to talk a little bit about us, I'm Slim. My first name is Christopher. I'm 44 years old. You know, been gaming pretty much, most of my life. Um, I'm married for about 15 years, and I took to gaming as an escape. So, um, that's part of the reason why I really love this gaming. But you know, being married, of course, we all have our issues trying to actually get our gaming time in. So,
Yeah. My name is Dion. Um, I'm 45 years old. I've been married about it's going on 3 years. Um, been gaming for oh gosh, that's a big one. Been gaming for going on since ever since I was about 8. Always loved gaming. Started out with Nintendo. Uh, Worked my way to NES, Super NES. You know, Nintendo 64, till I switched over to Xbox. I believe GameCube was my last console that I had from Nintendo before I got the Xbox 360. So it's been a long time, a lot of consoles.
so let me ask you, as far as gaming and being married now, do you notice something where when it comes to you actually gaming and you're trying to, get around, the wife wants you to do stuff here or there, but you just want to get that couple minutes of gaming in? What do you do now compared to like what you did when you were single?
I would say what I do now is, I just use the old ignore technique until she makes her way till she makes her way down there, and then I just act like I didn't hear her the first time, and I'm
Okay.
like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What do you need? What do you
Yeah.
need me to do?
Yeah. So you're basically confessing right now. You're
Yeah, yeah,
snitching
I
on
am. I
yourself.
am.
I got you.
Hopefully,
I
she
got
doesn't
you.
hear this part.
Right. So, actually, though, like I said, so being married for so long, my wife and I have been together since 2000, and our daughter. That was one of the biggest things, was taking care of my daughter while I was gaming. Just different things here or there, and I had to learn to navigate those waters. One of the things that I found was just teach my daughter to be a gamer. So there you go. I learned to have somebody to game with, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? We're just playing video games. That kind of bite me in the butt now, though, because now that my daughter wants to play certain games, I'm like, look, I don't feel like I have a lot of time to do it, different things like that here or there. But it's pretty funny, just when you're supposed to be taking care of your kid. I've got pictures with my daughter sitting there gaming with me. I got a picture where she's like laid out on the couch and she's like really tiny before she can even hold a controller. But I was sitting there gaming, so. Um, but I fell in love pretty much similar like to Dion with the Nintendo, but I can say what really got me into gaming was an Atari. So did you ever have an Atari?
I did have an Atari. Um, it was so. I mean, you talk about throwback. You went all the
Yeah,
way back.
right.
I thought NES. I thought I was back, but you're all the way back.
Hey, I mean that's what, a lot of people our age, that's what we started with, an
Yeah.
Atari.
Yep.
There's other people, they've had like ColecoVision and other things.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
So here's a funny thing, being I don't want to say poor, but not being able to get things right away, waiting a little bit, sometimes getting secondhand stuff. Um, One of the systems we got when I was a kid, it wasn't even like a fully gaming system. It was called a TI Basic. And so what a TI Basic was, it was like almost like a word processor. And I really, if you get a chance, look it up,
Right.
because it's like a long keyboard,
Mm,
and it's got a cartridge thing on the side, and then you hooked it up to a television.
mm,
And so you would actually have different kind of cartridges to put in there,
mm.
and you could actually control it, put a controller, connect a controller up to that little keyboard thing, and that was another way that we had gaming. So the TI Basic, is just like I said, it's just a gaming system, keyboard, cartridge, controller that you hook up,
Mm,
and it had a couple of games. The games aren't coming to mind right now,
mm,
but when we didn't have the Atari, that was another way that we got stuck in the gaming.
mm,
We just loved it that much, and you know, um, we were of that age where we were the go outside kids. We went
mhm,
outside and played, but on rainy days, on days that we weren't allowed to go outside, on days that we just didn't feel like going outside,
mhm.
we picked up a controller and was gaming.
Oh yeah.
So you know Nintendo, that was a big thing for us. We
Oh yeah.
really was really into Nintendo. Our very first Nintendo was later than everybody, but it was better because we ended up getting the Power Pad. That was our first Nintendo.
Wow, you got the power pad.
Yes, yes.
We didn't get the power pad till like later on,
Uh-huh.
but it was that's awesome that you guys started out with the power
Yeah, yeah, the Power Pad. And for people listening who don't know what the Power Pad
pad.
is, all it was a plastic mat. Um, it was one of the first things in the haptics.
Mm,
Plastic mat. Think Dance Dance Revolution,
yep.
but in your home is
Mm,
a mat. Had two sides. One was aerobics. One had a whole bunch of numbers on it, and you know, on that numbers, it had two sides, so you can actually like race against people in a lot of games, and you had different little things you could do.
mm.
Well, that was a great way to get exercise until you realize you could actually just play with your hands. So when we were kids, we would get down and just like tap stuff with our hands to
Yeah,
try to beat the other person and get faster.
yeah,
But it was still fun.
yeah. It was.
It
It
was
was.
still
It
fun.
was a great way to. It was a great way to to stay active while you're gaming,
Yeah,
physically
yeah,
active.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
tell me, did you ever have the Power Glove?
Yes,
You
I
did.
did
You
have the
did.
power glove, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It kind of you know I'm getting a bit off topic here, but if you ever seen, of course you've seen of course the movie. I can't believe I can't say it right now. Marvel movie Glove.
Oh yes, Infinity War.
Infinity War.
It was like the Infinity Gauntlet.
That glove gave you that feeling,
Mhm.
like you were what was it?
Thanos.
Thanos. Like you was Thanos, and you had the power glove. Excuse me, because
You're making a.
my comic book skills is
Yeah, I was gonna
names is
say you're
bad.
about to make a bunch of geeks cry right now by just saying
He said, "I
that.
can't believe he
A million
doesn't
people
know
are
his
screaming.
name."
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I said, "But hey, excuse me, I'm
Not a
Chris
big
over
fan,
here.
man.
He's the master comic book guy. Me now, you ask me for the name of a game from 1998. I probably know it.
Not a master comic book guy, but I love
Yeah.
comics too. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
into comics. But yeah,
But
I get it. I get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got a little off topic, but that's the feeling that the Power Glove gave you. Like you controlled everything with that damn glove. I mean, you ever played Punch Out with that glove?
Yeah. So no. By the time we got the glove, we didn't have Punch Out. We had Punch Out early, but I think we either gave it to our cousin or
Mm,
something. I can't remember why we didn't have the glove.
mm,
Um, but I did play a lot of games with Power Glove. Power Glove was great, and he's right. It did give you like a powerful feeling,
mm,
but as a kid, like you see something that gets you more hyped up than you
mm.
think,
Yeah,
and then after you start using it, you're like, "Oh crap! I have my arm up in the air for 20 minutes and it hurts. It hurts." So and then there was a whole bunch of wires that was all around the TV, and you had
yeah,
to stay within that box, keep it
yep,
inside the box so it continue to work.
yep.
But as a kid, it was so fun. You don't think about all that stuff till it's actually doing it, and you try to convince yourself like, "Yo, this is
Mm,
awesome."
yeah, yeah,
So that was
yeah,
the funniest part. But yeah, I loved the Power Glove. It was pretty good.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was so good that I kept it even after it broke, just so I can keep imagination, like that whole powerful feeling.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
know,
No. I
yeah,
get it. I get it.
yeah. When it
I,
stopped working for us, I just went ahead and cut the cord off and kept it. I was an imaginative little kid. I was weird. I was a really weird kid. So
hey, it's nothing wrong with that. I tell you that much, man. But the Power Glove, boy, that brings me all the way back.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
So
kids
what?
nowadays wouldn't have any idea.
Well, I mean, we're getting closer to that ready. You ever see Ready Player One?
No.
We're getting closer. You know what? I'm gonna need you to see that movie. But we're getting closer to that kind of reality
Mm,
because we're living in the times where we have virtual reality everywhere. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
I think I
People
believe
have it at home.
not to cut you off, but I think I think I saw that preview, Ready
Hmm.
Player One.
Right.
It's like they're trying to survive in the actual game world.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, but I mean, it's a couple of different things too involved in that. But basically it talks about like just a general future where pretty much everyone in the future is living in what's called the oasis,
Mm,
and that is a video game world that people just immerse themselves in, and they have full haptic suits, they have the virtual reality goggles. One dude had a full virtual reality chair that keeps moving around and all. Is just crazy.
oh wow.
But it's not as crazy anymore because we're almost living in that reality. You see all
Yeah.
these people doing virtual realities, on TikTok and
Yeah.
YouTube and things, and they actually have a whole like a running station in their houses and
Mm.
stuff. So that's kind of the reality that we're moving to right now. So
It's exciting, believe it or not. I've always loved tech, and of course, that fits into gaming
mhm.
in many ways. So yeah, I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
You know.
So what other for the Nintendo? What other peripherals did you have? Like, did you have like the turbo stick and things like
Well,
that?
I didn't have the turbo stick. The power pad and the glove was the most popular with us,
Hmm.
um, and I think that's the only accessories we actually had.
Okay.
Um,
Game
um,
Genie?
Game Genie, no, I never got it. But
Really?
I always thought Game Genie was it took to I believe because if I'm not mistaken, Game Genie was like a big cheat
Yeah,
a
man.
big cheat. Yeah, if
Yeah,
I
man.
remember correctly, and I always thought Game Genie was like, well, I don't need Game Genie. I can beat this. It was fun for the guys who just was not committed to gaming, like mastering games.
Mhm.
But me back then, like Street Fighter,
Yeah,
big
yeah,
Street Fighter guy,
yeah.
So all the moves I would do, I would actually do the motions for.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys, develop cheat codes and stuff to do moves like the Dragon Punch easy or the Fireball easy.
Right,
You know,
right,
I
yeah.
just, the Game Genie, I didn't really get into the Game Genie.
So I don't remember if we actually had it or not.
Mm,
I'm gonna have to call my brother and ask him, or find out for sure. I can't remember, but I remember we had it in our house, but I don't remember if it was ours. It
mm,
might have belonged to our cousin and stuff. We had a cousin who used to get like pretty much anything he wanted.
mm,
So like a lot of times we either play or trade and stuff with him, whatever. And
mm.
like when they come visit him, or I mean when they come visit us, or we go visit him, sometimes he'll let us borrow stuff here or there, and then we'll have it for like a year, and then we'll see him at Christmas, and then we'll give him his stuff back or something like that.
Yeah.
Just weird kid stuff that you trading stuff like that with
Mm,
family. So we had it, but we didn't have it a long time that in my memory. I could be remembering incorrectly, but it was cool.
mm,
But again, like you said, if you really wanted to master the games, you
mm,
didn't use it.
mm.
And I even had it for my Game Boy, which is funny. So that was pretty hilarious because there was a lot of games that were just seemed impossible, like Ninja Turtles. You ever play that game?
Yes, that is
How
the
far did you get?
absolute. I beat it.
You beat it.
I beat it.
How?
I beat it.
Without a Game Genie.
I beat it. I beat it without a Game Genie, and
How did you
I
swim
was
through the sewers?
I died so many times.
Mhm.
Um, I can remember restarting that game so many times. I got so annoyed with it that it was one of those games that because you annoyed me so much, I'm going to beat you and you're not going to stop me. And when I beat it, I took the cartridge and I burned it.
Wow.
That's how angry. That's how angry. What I took. I said my oldest brother. He was in the point where he was smoking cigarettes or whatnot, and I was still young. I couldn't get my hand on no matches. No, I said, hey, I need. Could you burn this for me? I asked him to burn it. He's like, what the hell what you want to burn a cartridge for, man? You crazy?
That's
I said,
funny.
this game has literally it's I beat it. I'm happy I beat it, but it annoyed me so much. I want it destroyed now.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. That is hilarious. That is no, I didn't even think about that. No, that's crazy though, man. But
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
couldn't I could not beat that without a Game Genie, man.
Yeah.
And
I
and
beat it.
and
Yeah.
I used it, and it's so funny
Mm,
because I have that game on my PSP right there.
mm,
I have a modded PSP. So I got a whole bunch of games. I got Nintendo. I got some Genesis games on there, different things like that.
Mm.
I tried playing that game. I wanted to break my PSP. If that thing wasn't so valuable to me, I probably would have thrown that PSP out the window, man. Because I did not realize how hard that game was until I tried to get to that part where you had to swim through. I think it was by the dam or something.
You have to defuse the bombs.
Yes.
And they got the electric seaweed or whatever the hell that.
It's just like, man, are you kidding me? Who created that thing, man? I thought the purpose of games is so kids will have fun. That wasn't fun.
That was not fun. That was what can make a child burn a video game cartridge? That's how I think whoever made that game was just sitting back and said, we have to figure out the most annoying. They already love Ninja Turtles, so they're going to play it. The fact that it's Ninja Turtles, they're going to play it. But we need the most annoying Ninja Turtles game ever. The most hardest Ninja Turtles game ever.
But I do love the arcade Nintendo.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah.
I used to spend so much time in the arcade just playing that game.
Yeah,
that game was the best. Because something about the the way you and your three friends and y'all could just get on there and like all at the table. The sticks right there. Oh my gosh, that was dope. And when they brought it to, I can't remember. It was either. I don't think it was in regular Nintendo. I think it was Super Nintendo. When they brought it to Super Nintendo, man, I about lost my mind.
Yeah. I loved it. The fact that I remember all the Turtles games. They had Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. They had the Turtles, the Tournament Fighters. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Oh my gosh, they had the Tournament Fighters where they had they had all the Ninja Turtles. They had Shredder. You could play as characters from the actual Ninja Turtles universe and whatnot. It was made by Konami. Okay. Developed by Konami.
I don't remember it. I'm gonna have to actually look that one up because I honestly do not remember it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was like a Street Fighter. As a matter of fact, Michelangelo had like a sort of like a Dragon Punch thing that he did with his nunchucks.
Well, that was probably when was the release? Because that was probably when they were actually kind of doing that whole fighting game genres, like everything. Everybody was into the whole genre.
It could have been that time where they were kind of everybody was trying to be like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
because you see like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat were going in at the same time.
And that kind of leads me to fast forward to the next generation consoles, Genesis and the Super Nintendo. So I never got to play the Sega Master System. Well, no, let me correct it because I don't know if you remember at Heinz. When we were at Heinz, wait, how long did you stay at Heinz? Were you at Heinz?
I was only going to have that my sixth grade year.
Oh, you didn't stay for the new Heinz. You made it to the new Heinz.
Where I was at, being that I was living in the downtown area, they rezoned the schools. So when my 7th and 8th grade year, 7th, I found out I had to go to Huntington. Which was in the dead of the downtown area. So it was the worst school ever. I went from Heinz to upscale to the worst school ever.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We used to talk about our schools another time. But so when we got to 7th and 8th grade, I don't remember if they did this when we were in 6th grade, but I do remember in 7th and 8th grade, they kind of had like these dances, but they weren't really dances. Where they had this video game company, and there was this company that was in Denby that actually brought their video game system. They used to actually have like tournaments. They had a TV show. This dude called the Masked Gamer. That everybody pretty much, if you knew the game, you knew the guy who actually. I'm not gonna say his name, but if you knew it, you knew who the Masked Gamer was. Because he actually went to high school with us. So
oh wow,
yeah, I'll tell you about him off there. But
right.
So they had this company come in and they actually like set up different game systems. So that was my first time ever playing the Master System. That was my first time ever playing a Neo Geo. So
Neo Geo,
yes,
I remember
no one could afford a Neo Geo.
Nobody could afford a Neo Geo.
Back then it was like, I think I don't even know if it was $1,000, but it seemed like it was $1,000.
Yeah, back then it was close to
$600
to $700.
Yeah, but now it's like a drop in the bucket for most people.
Pretty much.
But it's crazy, like back then that system was so expensive that that was the only time I got to play it.
Mm.
Well, like I said, kind of rewinding back, um, I never got to play that other system, but then next generation, Super Nintendo, Genesis,
Mhm.
we ended up having both of them in our house.
Mm.
And that's when it started to where I was actually starting to get multiple systems in the house at a time.
Mhm.
So um like like I said, going back to the whole fighting game thing, we had Super Nintendos, we had Genesis. So Genesis had a couple of games. Did you ever play Genesis?
I played the only time I really played Genesis, I fell in love with the Streets of Rage.
I love
And
Streets of Rage. I
and
love Streets of Rage.
my cousins had Streets of Rage. They
Hmm.
had the Genesis. We had the
Yeah.
Super NES.
Uh-huh.
So, being that we were not that fortunate to have both in our homes, so we would go over there to play Streets of Rage, and they would come over us to play Double Dragon or something like that.
Do you know
You
how
know.
we ended up getting a Genesis? My brother worked his butt off and got it for us. So he bought it himself. I remember because it was when Sam's Club out here first opened up.
Mm.
Um, and my brother was actually, so he was a teenager and he was working, and on post. And he was, man, the dude worked so hard, saved up his money. He was hustling. My brother was a hustler too,
Mm.
but not that kind of hustler.
Right.
But he
Definitely.
was hustling to make his money. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to make his money,
Yeah.
and he bought himself a Genesis. We had the Super Nintendo. I think my mom bought that for us,
Mm.
but he bought us. Well, I say us because he let me play it.
Right.
But when he got mad at me, he let me know that was his Genesis. So you know, he bought a Genesis, and one of the games that he bought, a fighting game, was called Eternals or Spirit Eternals or something like that. I need to look that up. But he bought that game, and I remember that. I love that game, man. I
Mm.
love that. And then Super Nintendo. I remember we played a whole bunch of other games, and this didn't come out till later, till I was able to buy my own Super Nintendo, but Killer Instinct.
Oh yes. Yes,
You
that
remember
that
that?
game that game was on another level.
Hmm.
I remember playing it in the arcade, and then once it came to consoles, the first Killer Instinct, I was like, I almost I almost lost my mind
Hmm.
because I had the Super NES, but then I got the N64 after the Super NES,
Hmm.
and the N64 that console was on another level. Not sure if you got a chance. I remember you telling me that you didn't really get the N64 experience, and a old used to be our friend. He kept reminding you how much you missed.
He's still our friend,
Yeah,
and actually, y'all
yeah,
probably
yeah.
hear him at some point. He's doing
Maybe
some stuff right now. I don't know, but he was
it's
actually. So this podcast was only originally supposed to be 3 people. Some stuff happened, and we're just trying to figure out what exactly happened. So we're waiting for our friend, to let us know what's up. But
it's a
yeah,
possibility.
yeah, we're
Maybe.
hopeful.
Who
So.
knows?
But yes, I did never have. I've never owned a N64. I've never owned a GameCube
Mm,
because basically by the time those came out, I had a different system. So
mm,
when the N64 came out, I had a PlayStation,
yep.
and I was buying things my own, and I had already had I had the PlayStation. I think I was how old were you about when it came out? So
I think about what was it about? Maybe what 16?
yeah, see,
Maybe a little younger than that. I don't know.
I think by then that's when I had my Super Nintendo around
Mm,
16ish, 17, whatever. Basically, once I started working, first
mm,
thing I bought was a Super Nintendo. Then later on, as as I got older, I was able to buy a PlayStation. That was
mm,
the first game system that I bought after my Nintendo.
mm,
And then after that, I just kind of expanded from there.
mm,
So the N64 was never in and you're right, because I remember we were still in high school when the
mhm,
64 came out.
yep.
So the reason why I never got a 64 is because, my mother wasn't able to get it for me
Mm,
at the time. I didn't start working until later. I didn't start
mm,
working until I was 17
mm,
is, when I started working at the water park. So, that's why, so I wasn't able to get a lot of these things. So, Yeah, a lot of people joke with me about this 64, but that's why I just hadn't had a chance to. But now, by the time I played it, I've played a couple of games. I think I've played. I might have played Mario Kart. I played it at a party. One time I went to a party, at a friend's house,
Mm.
and that friend, he had his little brother had a 64, and he was letting people play the games in his brother's room.
Mm.
So I think I played Bond, and I've played a Mario Kart or whatever, one of those other
Yeah.
Mario games.
You mentioned Bond.
Yeah.
You know,
Everyone loves that. That's the one everyone loves.
GoldenEye 007. Before there was a Halo, before there was a PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, or Fortnite or whatever, that was the ultimate multiplayer game. Four players, each one had a screen, top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left, and they had this mode. The multiplayer mode was just set it off. I remember that game. That game was history. It made history.
And I've only played the multiplayer mode. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah,
played
yeah.
the game, the actual.
It's not really, it's got a good campaign, but
Mhm.
it's just known for its multiplayer.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's pretty funny. That was what I ended up getting into. But and going back, the game that I was talking about in Genesis, the fighting game, was Eternal Champions.
Mm.
So that game was crazy, and we loved it. It was this different type of fighting game. And it kind of did what Killer Instinct did, but
Mhm.
it didn't hit as hard as Killer Instinct.
Mm.
So like it didn't have all the blood and gore and stuff like that. It's not like
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat, which everyone loves Mortal Kombat. If you don't, I'm like, why? Why don't you love Mortal Kombat?
What did Midway do to you?
Yeah, right, right. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? You gotta love Mortal Kombat. But that was hilarious too with the whole Mortal Kombat thing too.
Mm.
People were either pro Street Fighter or pro Mortal Kombat. Gamers just love both.
Yeah, I love both.
Yes,
I love
because
both.
oh man.
There's a way you can finish guys on Mortal Kombat. You couldn't do that on Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Until it got later on.
Yeah,
because Street Fighter didn't have its exact finish,
Mm.
but it had that finish where it like the combo finish.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
like a
gosh.
super,
Oh
like
my-
a super combo where the whole
Oh.
screen light up and fire.
Yes,
Once
yes.
you connect.
I-
Oh yeah.
I
definitely.
remember I had Street Fighter Alpha. That was a game that I stayed on the whole time, and that was like the first PlayStation, version of it. So I stayed on that game till it had scratches, and it was like I had to turn my PlayStation upside down just to play that game. Yeah, man, it was crazy. So yeah, that was a game, that was into it. And that's another thing. The funniest thing about talking about all this gamer stuff, that's something else I want to get into later. Is talking about the little tricks and stuff you had to do just to get your games to work.
I mean,
that's something else we can talk about
we'll
later.
save it for another podcast. But I just remember blowing on a cartridge for
Oh,
the NES.
yes, everyone knows that. You got to blow on it, even though Nintendo came out and said it doesn't work. There's no thing. But tell me why that everyone who's done that knows that as soon as you put that game back in, it works.
It works.
So blowing on it doesn't do anything. I'm sorry, Nintendo. You gotta change your facts, man. It does.
That was back then when they was not real. They wasn't real about what they would say because it made them look bad. I guess I don't know.
I don't know. But either way, though. So let's get back to actually finishing up. Our gaming experiences growing up. So you kind of said what you went into. So basically, like I was saying, I went from Nintendo era, of course, Atari and all that. But like I said, I moved into Super Nintendo, then I moved into PlayStation. I was at PlayStation for a long time, up into like the second generation of PlayStation 2. I did that for the longest time, and then even past like the other generation of PlayStation 2 and all that. It took me a long time. Matter of fact, I don't think I never got a PlayStation 3. I did. I got a Xbox 360 after that.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember getting it because a good friend of mine, who you'll probably end up here, we're gonna end up having guests on the podcast. But a good friend of mine, I had a PlayStation. I kept telling him, "Yo, I don't want an Xbox because I had all these dumb reasons. Oh, you have to pay, you have to pay for your Xbox Live and this and all that stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I don't even want to try Xbox. My friend had me over his house one time. We was kind of just playing BS and all that. And I was by his house, and he goes, "Look, I know you said you didn't want to play Xbox." He said, "But just sit down and play this one game."
Mm.
And you're gonna laugh because I know how you feel about this. But the game that he put on for me was Gears of War.
No, here's the thing about Gears of War. I loved Gears of War.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when Gears of War, the first one came out, I bought it. When the second came out, I definitely bought it.
Yeah.
It was just the third one, buddy. It was just the third one.
I don't know if you can see it. You can't see it, but I got him down there.
Yeah, I don't want to see the third one.
Yeah. So, but he put that on, and he put that game on, and I fell in love with the Xbox, and by that time I was with my wife. We were just dating by then. But I basically told her, I was like, "Look, babe, I gotta get this. I gotta get this." And I talked about it so much. Right after one of our Christmas parties, we were supposed to do all this Christmas shopping. We were in the store, and she was like, "You want to get your Xbox now?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Are you serious?" She was like, "Yeah, just we can get your Xbox now." She was like, "It's not really gonna hurt us too much. Go ahead." And she got it, and I was like, "Cool." We got it. I got a whole bunch of different stuff with it. I think I bought Gears of War that I can't remember, but I bought my Xbox 360. And first thing she says is, "You got to wrap that up, right?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "No."
That is so bittersweet.
So
buddy.
we bought it. We bought it. I had to wait like I think 2 or 3 weeks to open that up to play it. Just to play my system.
The torture.
So, yeah, that was so mean, but you know what? Anyway. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that I went from a PlayStation 2 to Xbox 360. Now I'm at Xbox One, and I also have a PlayStation 4 that I've played. I lean more to playing my Xbox, just because I have more games, I have more friends that play it. I would love to play my PlayStation more. If I had more friends to play with. I don't have the PlayStation subscription, but if I find more people to play with, sure, I'll get the subscription, so I can actually play with more friends.
Right.
So I actually have a couple of people on there who play.
Well, just with PlayStation right now, as far as their subscription service, just make sure you get the right tier.
Yeah,
you might want to watch it because the tiers, they kind of are the same until you start getting to the more expensive one. And I'm not exactly sure. I didn't do too much research on that, but I'm not well, you know me.
Yeah.
I've got Game Pass, so I got Ultimate. So
yeah. So same here. I bought Game Pass so I can play more games. If somebody says, "Hey, try this game. It's on Game Pass," I'll go ahead and try it out. My daughter, she told me about Dead by Daylight, which is the current game that I'm playing.
Game.
Yes. And she told me about it. I was like, "Man, I'm not trying to play this." I was stuck on Grand Theft Auto. Dude, I'm telling you, this game has been out for years. Grand Theft Auto has been out since what, 2012?
Yeah,
and it just had this resurgence now. Well, I'll say with in the last 4 or 5 years, it had another resurgence. But my daughter started playing it, and that got me back on it. Which is so funny. When she was little, my wife was like, "Don't play that in front of her." So now,
of course,
yeah. But so that got me back on it. So I was so hardcore into that game, and I was playing it almost every weekend, and playing it when I had free time during the week and stuff like that. And then I got to a point where I wasn't playing. So my daughter, just like I said, a couple weeks ago, she was like, "Hey, we want to play this one game. Can you download it and play with us? Because we need somebody else to play." And I was like, "Man, I don't want to play another game. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto." And she was like, "Just try it out." Man, that game gets your adrenaline going. Oh my gosh, that game. So yeah, I want to get into it a little bit more. We can go and talk about it a little bit later. That could be a whole episode by itself, because especially if you're into horror games. Because I want to talk about Resident Evil. That's another episode. So
yeah. I mean, once we get into horror games, that episode is going to be pretty good because you're not really a true horror game fan unless you play Dead Space.
I have not. I haven't played it yet, so yeah, we'll talk about it.
That's okay.
I'll check it out. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
But So just to wrap it up, where are you at with your Xbox? What system do you have? What Xbox system?
Well, I have the Xbox Series X.
Hmm.
Of course, that's the latest, the most powerful system that
Hmm.
they have. Um, that's only because I have a preference. You know, the Series S is pretty good too,
Hmm.
but I have a preference of being having the most power. I just,
Okay.
you know, I've got to get the most,
Right. Right.
powerful, the most
Yeah.
powerful console, most powerful version.
Yeah.
You know, so
Ride a dirt bike when you can have a Hayabusa.
well, yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah, I understand.
so
I
so
understand.
um so the game I just beat, the game I just beat was the Doom Eternal. Like I said, it was a fantastic game.
Mhm.
Um, couldn't believe that it took me that long to discover it. Um, but it's of course, first person shooter, but the things that you can do to those demons, man, and it challenges you. It challenges you every single level. It challenges you. It's a lot of a lot of noobs would call it a hard game, but
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
used to first person shooters and you're used to moving really fast
Mhm.
and aiming fast,
Mhm.
you know, you'll love it.
Okay.
You'll love it. It's an awesome game.
I might check that out. I
Yeah.
might check it out. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, like I said, I have a whole bunch of games, and if you're listening and you got a game that you want to suggest, you can hit us up at our email. It is. I will have to actually put that in later on in the episode, at the end of the episode, once I find it. It's a new created email. Um, it is told my wife podcast at gmail.com. That's our email account. So you know, to close it up and kind of wrap it up here, if you could say right off the top of your head, right now, what's your favorite game right now? Like all time favorite that you can think of.
Right now, um, I would have to say my all time favorite right now, um, is the Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Okay, okay. Why? Just a quick why.
It's 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 such a huge game, and now they have the mods. Well, they had the mods for a while,
Hmm.
and with the mods, it's just like playing a whole different game.
Okay.
The Elder Scrolls has been around. Well, Skyrim, in particular, has been around since 2012.
Hmm.
It's sort of like Grand Theft Auto 5. Has it
Yeah,
came out. It's
yeah,
been
yeah,
out for
yeah,
years,
yeah. And they just keep
and
adding
they
on and
just keep
stuff.
adding on to it.
Hmm.
That's how Skyrim was. Once they put the mods in for console gamers,
Hmm.
because PC gamers been had mods for that game.
Yeah, yeah.
They the ones that started out the mods.
Hmm.
But once they put it on console gamers had a chance to experience mods without having a PC.
Hmm.
So it just blew the whole the doors off the game. It just made it like it was just, I've got mods now, so I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Now I'm playing the same game that came out in 2012,
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So
because
yeah,
I
and
have the
that's
special edition.
yeah,
So,
and that's
so that is my all time favorite game right now as we speak.
okay. Okay. I would say for me, that's a hard choice, but if I had to think, the only game that comes to mind is Gears of War. And only reason why I say that is because that is the only game that I can think of that had me so hooked that I went out and bought a whole complete game system just to play that game.
Yep.
I've stood in lines. I don't think I even stood in line for Call of Duty. I don't remember. But I stood in line for Gears of War,
Mm,
for the Gears of War release.
mm,
So I'm not 100% sure, and I don't like to say I choose favorites because I'm a complicated person. That my movies can change
mm,
and we'll be talking about movies and stuff too. But right now we're starting at gaming.
mm.
But um, right now, the first game that comes to mind that I can say that I love and I will always go back to and continue to play, I think is Gears of War. Definitely. It's just something about that storyline. I can go back from Gears of War 1 and I will continue to go I can take a month and it may be longer because of life, but
Mm.
I can take a month and start at the first one, beat the first one, go jump to the next one and keep going.
Mm.
And I think the newest one hasn't come out yet. I had to do some more research
No,
and
no.
stuff,
I
but
mean, you got the last one was Gears of War 5.
5, and
You know,
I got that one. I think that one's down.
and that's the one with the I forgot what her name was, but I played and I beat that one.
Yeah,
I loved that one.
Okay,
Believe it or
okay.
not, Gears of War was, like I said, there were so many games for the 360 that sucked me in.
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Gears was one of them.
My friend was telling me about that. The guy who got me to play Gears of War has been trying to get me to play Mass Effects for the longest time, and I'm like, dude, I don't want a game that I'll get hooked.
You don't know what you're missing.
Really,
Mass Effect, the trilogy, and once like I said, we'll talk about it a later podcast, but just giving you a quick, some quick info here. But the trilogy of Mass Effect is such a great story. It's such a good story up until the third one.
Yeah.
Right to the end of the third one.
Okay.
And like I said, we'll talk about it later. But there's so many guys outraged by the end of the third one.
Yeah. Well, I'll check it out and see. But anyway, just in closing, we wanted to say thanks for listening out, and hopefully we can actually get this going, go through, have a couple more episodes, have a little bit of fun, go through, talk about movies, but mostly gaming, talk about different things with our lives, as older married guys. But if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at, again, it's Told My Wife Podcast, all one word, at gmail.com. I haven't got the Instagram or the Twitter set up at all yet. I don't even know if we'll use it, but anyway, just go ahead and reach out to us through that way. Email, let us know what you think, questions, comments. If there's a game that you think that we've got to try, just go ahead and give us a shout. And we want to thank you for listening. And saying this is Slim,
and this is Black.
just saying thank you again for listening, and have a good one, everyone.